Hello, Namaskar, and welcome to Sikkim Chronicle. Well, today in this edition, we are going to talk about a book which, in fact, has been launched today, The Fragile Thread of Hope. This book has been written by very own talented writer from this tiny Himalayan state of Sikkim, Pankaj Giri. Before we start the conversation with the author, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take this opportunity to read a brief blurb of the book. Seasoned with the flavors of exotic Nepalese traditions and set in the picturesque Indian hill station Gangtok, The Fragile Thread of Hope explores the themes of spirituality, faith, alcoholism, love, and guilt while navigating the complex maze of family relationships. Inspirational and heart wrenchingly intimate, it urges you to wonder, does hope stand a chance in this travesty called life? We'll be talking more on this book and we'll be listening from the horse's mouth itself, author Pankaj Giri of The Fragile Thread of Hope. Pankaj, many congratulations. So, launching of a book for any author is a dream come true. It's a D-Day for any author. How do you feel now?
Feeling really delighted, and it's been a very long journey, and finally, after a long time, the book is out. So I'm really excited and nervous, and really looking forward to the response from the readers. And thank you so much for inviting me. Yeah.
So, as far as the title of the book is concerned, and although I haven't read it, I just wanted to know, does it explore the different spectrum of relationship?
Yes, basically, it's about family relationships, and not just family. It's about friendship also, and I just wanted to explore all the facets, of the human relationships, like between a father and son, between brothers, even a romantic relationship as well. So all the between a mother and daughter, and all those kind of relationships. So, and they may seem simple at the beginning, but they are always layered, and lots of complexity involved in them. So there are lots of hidden threads between in each relationship. So I wanted to explore that.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, who are the protagonists? As far as I know, Soham and Fiona. Does the story revolve around them?
Yes, story basically revolves around Soham and Fiona. They are the main protagonists, and there's also a third character who is Sharon, who is Fiona's mother, and she also has quite a major role to play. But the primary protagonists are Soham and Fiona.
Okay, so an award-winning, a writer or the author of Muzaffar Jung series writes, I like the way Giri evokes Gantok. It's a place I have never visited, but he makes me want to. The scenery, the food, the festival, the language, the song, it all comes alive. So somehow, can we see that essence of the tradition, the culture, the place? What Sikkim is, you are trying to tell through this, your craft to the people?
Yeah, basically because this novel is set in Sikkim, and I wanted to show the cultures and traditions, and because it's really special, like our Nepalese culture and all. So I wanted to show that to the world, display that, and also the beauty of the place, the hill station. It's really a beautiful place, right? So I wanted to show that to the readers throughout the world, and also, like, the small Nepalese culture and traditions, like, the 13-day calm after rituals, yeah, after death, and in funerals, and even the in the marriage, like Naumati Baja is there, and all the traditions in the marriage, and even for Devsure, Bhailo, and all. It's really unique to our culture. So I wanted to show that, and even the food, like iskusko jara and gundrukko jhol, and all those, like they are very specific and unique to our culture. So I wanted to show that as well, and also the beauty of the place. So it's great that such a renowned writer like Madhulika Lidl, she liked that aspect of the book.
So many avid readers were eagerly waiting for this paperback, because this book has already grabbed headlines once it came into Amazon contest, right? So you had come with the ebook before this. Tell us about the journey of the Fragile Thread of Hope. I mean, from Amazon now to paperback.
Yeah, so initially I self-published the book on Amazon KDP, and I also took part in that pen to publish contest. And by the grace of God and all the good wishes and the support of the readers throughout the world, so I was selected as the top 5 finalist. And after that, yourstory.com is quite a popular website among the youth, so they also took my interview. And even ABN TV from Siliguri, they also took the interview. And I got a Amazon Kindle device also as a gift prize, and it was really a wonderful experience. And prior to that, after that, what happened is, like, I resubmitted my manuscript to publishers, because even before that I had submitted, but after that also I got some confidence, so maybe this finalist tag might help or something like that. So I just resubmitted the manuscript, and by the grace of God, Fingerprint Publishing, which is quite one of the top 10 publishers in the country, so Shikha Sabarwal, she is the director, so she took faith in my book, and then she gave me an opportunity, and it was really a golden opportunity, because it was a kind of a dream come true for me, because I always used to read Fingerprint books, and used to review them, and used to love their editing and the cover design, everything, the aspect, the language, and the books they select, really they was like selected pieces of work. So it was a dream come true for me to be selected by Fingerprint.
And your dream has come true eventually. How long did it took for you to pen down the entire the story?
Took around a little more than a year, I think, for the first draft. And then I started revising it, because you need to revise the book, right? So there's so many rounds of editing and beta reading and editing, and then finally, around after 1.5 years, the book was completed. But even then I was not satisfied, and I took the suggestions of other writers, and so they said that I have to go for professional editing. So I did go for professional editing, and that also really helped improve the quality of the manuscript. And after that, as I told you, I participated in the contest, and after that I submitted it to the the publishers. So it was a long journey. It was around more than 2 years since I started writing.
So when was it like you realized your potential as a writer, and when you thought to take it up professionally?
Initially, actually, I was going through a very difficult time in my life in 2013, when my father passed away. So while I was grappling with the pain and the suffering, the difficulties, right? So that time, actually, my mom told me, like, why don't you start writing, because long back in school you used to write a few articles here and there, so maybe it will help pass the time, and maybe it will help tackle the pain. So that's why I thought, okay, let me give it a try. So actually, I have a friend in Mumbai named Apurva Nikas. So we used to just discuss, roughly about books sometimes. So he had one small idea, so he shared it with me. So I thought, okay, let's go with it. So I was very inexperienced at that time. So I wrote the book like based on his idea, and even I also put my own inputs there. So but at that time, due to lack of knowledge, lack of reading experience, so it was a mixed product, at the first book. The name is Friendship, Love and Killer Escapades Flick. So after that,
So you were the co-author of the book.
I was the co-author of the book.
Yeah.
But obviously I did write the book myself, but ideas I used to share with him. So after the constructive criticism that I received for that book, right? So then it gave me the idea, like I have to work more hard, So I read articles on the internet, and I read a lot of books, and I tried to improve my vocabulary and English writing style, So then only when I was confident enough to write another one, then I started The Fragile Thread of Hope.
So do you somehow find yourself as one of the reflections of the protagonist, because I'm sure somehow in this book there are incidents or circumstances, or the incidents which in fact has been inspired by your real life.
Yeah, you can say that, because actually, if you see most of the accomplished writers, right, for their first book, or at least for the first or second book. So there is always a reflection of themselves or their lives, some experiences in the protagonist. So yeah, even I also agree with Soham. Like there are certain characteristics, even his personality. Is
So your thought process goes in alignment with Soham.
Yes, yes, yes. So mostly it's like that.
And who is Fiona?
Fiona is just a totally fictional
Fictional
character, totally fictional character. So Soham is slightly based on me and some of the experiences that I had, but Fiona is totally a new character, and her part of the story is totally fictional.
Okay, let me read this review given by Renita De Silva. She's an award-nominated best-selling author of The Forgotten Daughter, and she writes an epic tale of love, loss, hope, and faith that will remain with you long after the final page. With its lovely characters and beautiful prose, it ranks right up there with my favorites. So, I mean, like I read most of the reviews, and like the reviews are really awesome and amazing and great. So, have you tried to delve into the socio culture which exists in our state? For example, alcoholism, substance abuse, the hopelessness in the youngsters after getting breakup in love. Is this something which you try to mirror up or portray through this book, which is happening in the state of Sikkim?
Yeah, in the state of Sikkim, and also it's endemic throughout the world, right? So like the alcoholism that is sabotaging the lives of many, especially lower middle class families. So I wanted to portray that, and in my book, so the alcoholism, how it destroys a family, So I wanted to show that aspect, and also I wanted to show like how grief, it really not just grief about loss of a loved one, but just about minor things, like, as you said, like a breakup, and it may seem minor to us, but at that time that person particularly is facing a lot of problems, right? So but due to that, I've heard that even suicide rate is quite high in Sikkim. So yeah, so it might seem small to us, but at that time that person is facing a problem. So I wanted to highlight those things. Like what I wanted to show was the characters, through the lives of the characters, what even the extreme tragedy, extreme tragedy when the people face, so how they are able to tackle it, So even like I wanted to show, because actually even the reader can journey through the characters, right? Instead of just saying don't lose hope, it's easy to say just don't lose hope, right? But if you go through the journey of the characters and then experience the pain as they have experienced, and then still they show the fight, they never give up hope, right? So that's what I wanted to show, to instead of telling, I wanted to show that, how through the lives of the characters, like that you should never lose hope. And also, yeah, as you said, the alcoholism and all those issues, I wanted to social issues, I wanted to show to the readers. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so it sends a very strong message on how not to lose hope, right? Because there's always light in the end of the tunnel. So Pankaj, tell us, where do you draw your inspiration when it comes to writing?
When it comes to writing, actually, first of all, the writers in Sikkim, Prajwal Parajuli and Chetan Rashtra, they showed the light, to young writers like us, you can be published by traditional publishers, like you can get success, you can win awards. So that was one inspiration that I got. And apart from that, personally, Renita De Silva, she's I know her since a long time, since I read the book The Forgotten Daughter. She's so down to earth and such a wonderful person, apart from being such a wonderful writer. So she really encouraged me at that time, because I was not confident at that time, whether my book is good or not. And she read the second or third draft itself, and that time also, and the review is product of that, she really liked the book. So it gave me confidence, that okay, so if such an accomplished writer can write like my book, so even other readers also might like it. So she was a really inspiration for me. And Chitra Divakurni ma'am, actually I met met her in the Bangalore Lit Fest in 2016 January. So she's also very down to earth, and she's also really helpful, and she's a fabulous writer. Like her writing is like impeccable, like no faultless. If like young writers want to read a book and learn how to write, so you should just read Chitra ma'am's book. Like it's everything is so perfect in that book. All grammar, punctuation, and writing style, and the use of metaphors, how much to use, how much not to use, everything is just done perfectly. And my major inspiration are Chitra ma'am and Ranita ma'am. Ranita ma'am also, she loves to write descriptions. You feel as if you are there in the scene itself, like all the senses, sight, smell, and the taste, everything. She covers everything. So I really learned from her how to write descriptions, and also I've tried my best to write similar descriptions in my books. So now the rest is up to the readers.
So your genre basically is fiction.
Yes, fiction, and actually, what I wanted to do was like in the market right now, there is a really huge divide between commercial and literary fiction.
True.
Literary fiction is like political and highbrow kind of thing, which mostly readers can't relate to them, and commercial fiction is like like campus love stories and all ekdam cheesy kind of fiction,
Soft
right?
love.
Soft love with containing very ordinary language and those kind of things. So I wanted to bridge the gap between them and write such a fiction that is relatable and using simple language, but it contains like it is descriptive and showing a bit more of the culture and traditions and also the characterizations. So I wanted to mix the better aspects of both literary and commercial fiction. So now it's up to the readers whether how they find it. But
So are you following Chetan Bhagat's pattern of like a small town guy, girl? Because Chetan Bhagat is also more into this kind of.
Yes. No. Chetan Bhagat is a great writer, and he's a world class, right? He is a very popular writer, and his brand is commercial fiction. But I am more inclined towards literary fiction.
Literary fiction.
But I didn't want to write a highbrow, literary fiction. I wanted to write a mild kind of literary fiction that even commercial fiction readers also can relate to that, and they can just see like they can get a little flavor of the literary fiction also in that.
Right. So tell us, like, what next now? What are you planning now? Your book is like there, it's been launched. What next is your plan? Are you writing something else?
Yeah, actually, I have started on my next book, and but I've shelved it for a while because I had to take part in the editing and all those things of this first book. So once my promotion is over for this book after a few months, I'll get back to it once again and try to complete it.
Well, let me tell you that Pankaj works in power department. He's a government employee, but I don't know how he takes out time to write, like, So this is a very nice culture for, like, what we are seeing, like a young government employee, like, taking time out to write literature, like, how do you see, where do you see the literature, the writing, the writers in the state heading?
Yeah, I think new writers are coming up, slowly but surely new writers are coming up, and I want to encourage young writers to come up and write on whatever you want to write. You can write, and if you want any guidance, you can always get guidance of Chetan Daju and Prajwal Daju, and even me. Like if whatever little knowledge I have, I would love to share it with them, and like their incomplete manuscripts, I would like them to complete it, and then start submitting to publishers, and whatever guidance they need, I am ready to give them. So I think writers, I think they should come out and they should write, and they do need to focus on their writing and improve their writing skills. Just let it not be a half baked product and full of grammatical and punctuation error. It should not be like that. Like they should work hard on their writing skills and read articles on the internet and read a lot of books, how to improve punctuation. You don't have to be an expert. Even I am also no expert, but there are some tricks that you can use, and I'm willing to share it with them if they want.
So tell us, like, especially you write in English, right? So for you to find a publisher, it's not that the Herculean task, because the Nepali writers are facing lots of trouble in finding the proper publishers. What can be done as a writer? What do you think? What's your opinion on this?
I don't have much idea about the Nepali publishing industry, how the publishers are, who all the publishers are, and what are the exact problems. So I don't think I'd be able to comment on that. But even in English also, it's not so easy to get a publisher, because like to self-publish nowadays is easy, but to get a traditional publisher is, it's still a huge challenge. So I think it's a challenge in for every language. Even for Nepali, for English, for anything, it's a challenge to get published and to have a book out.
So, in this era of digitalization, what do you think is the biggest challenge for the writers like you? Because there are so many online, books which we can read online. Kindle is there. What is the biggest challenge?
I think, yeah, because nowadays publishers, they do publish books on Kindle also, like the ebook version also will be available. So I think they try to cover both aspects, like ebook also and paperback also. But mostly what I've seen in India, the trend is that paperback, mostly they prefer paperback only, because even when I had brought out the ebook, mostly people are asking for when is the paperback coming out, when is the paperback coming out. So ebook is still not that popular in India. Obviously it's very popular in US and UK and all, but in India people still prefer the smell of the book and the paperback, aroma of the book and leafing through the pages, and even you can read it wherever you want. So that thing is there. So uh, fortunately, like, in India, paperback is still well and alive. So
So, do you have a writers club in Sikkim?
no, no. But it would be great to have a writers club, and actually not just writers club, reviewers club. Actually, there are a lot of reviewers in India. In India, it's booming, the review industry, book reviewing industry, and all. No, promotion book. It's really booming, and like there are a lot of people coming up who, with their blogs and to share the reviews there. They have a lot of followers and all. So maybe in Sikkim also we can start. Like I see very almost negligible. There's not much. Like. Nobody shares about the book. Mostly they are sharing about going to restaurants and all those things, right? Roaming around, but nobody just shares the pictures of books, very rarely. Recently Santosh Subba sir shared, so maybe like we can take inspiration from him, and even I also try to share whatever books I read, so if you can just share a book, what is it, might be a foreign author also or Indian author, anything. So once you start sharing, then you will start seeing the book, right? So that way it becomes like indirect promotion for the authors. So that way I think if the readers can create a club or something, or even some small page, on Facebook or Instagram, and many reviewers can collaborate and post their reviews there, or even on the individual timelines. So that will be really helpful even for the local writers. So even if outside it's not promoted so well, at least in Sikkim, people will come to know, and the readers of Sikkim will be able to just check out the new book. So that will be a really good thing.
I'm sure writers like you will take a lead on this. Pankaj, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us, and congratulations for the fragile thread of hope. And we hope, there are so many accolades and accomplishment in terms of writing for you. And for you also, those who are interested in reading this book, you can find this book in which stores?
At Rasna Books for now. Yeah. So thank you so much for inviting me. It was lovely. It was wonderful to have a conversation with you, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
All right, so he was the author, Pankaj Giri, who has launched his new book, The Fragile Thread of Hope. And I'm sure you would be encouraging him, by giving reviews on the book. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. And please send your comments and feedbacks in the inbox and the comment box below. And we'll be back with a similar kind of inspiring personality with my friend Bikash Thapa. This is Nirmal saying goodbye for now. Thanks for watching.